We're back with episode 11 of the TJ Martino podcast. Yep, we're back. It's been a nice couple of weeks since we were last on here, right before Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving was great. San Diego, cool town. I'd never been out there before. It very much felt like Florida, only chillier, I guess, because we kind of went on a weird weekend where it was raining and, that's not very common, I guess, in California. Like, all of our Uber drivers were saying, we learned a lot about, like, California through, like, Uber drivers.
Would you say it's Florida without crackheads?
There were still crackheads. I mean, but not like news headline crackheads. But anyway, yeah, so that's a short little aside. We're back, here on the podcast. And that voice you just heard is my guest for this week, my roommate, another roommate of mine, Burke Gonzalez, in the house from the East Hamptons. How are you, Burke?
I'm doing well, TJ. I'm really happy you're having me on. I've been trying to come on for a while.
Yes.
Listen to the podcast for a little bit, and I'm excited, man.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun episode. It's going to be a little bit more relaxed, chill out, more conversational.
Just boys being boys.
Yeah, just boys being boys. Kind of similar to Brett and I's episode, only, yeah, it's going to be different. It always is. But first of all, I want to thank everybody for listening. I've been getting a lot of love as, I've been doing the thing, and people have been telling me to keep doing it, and, I have no intentions of stopping, so I want to thank all of the listeners out there that are listening. Put me in your ears for exam week. I know, students, it's hard. I'm grinding, you're grinding, we're grinding. So just push through those exams, get into break, and enjoy yourselves. And for those of you that are not in school or out of school or whatever, keep grinding with your jobs or your life or whatever the hell. Yeah,
are almost here.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting close to my favorite time of the year, which we'll get into. Also, artists and producers, keep sending your beats. Nobody has sent me any beats yet, but that's just an opportunity I'm going to keep dropping out there. And also, if you guys are listening, give me that 5 stars. Give me that comment. Give me that subscribe. Give me that stuff. Because it, stroke my ego. Make me love myself already more than I already do. I mean, my podcast is called the TJ Martino Podcast. That's how much I love myself. So keep loving yourselves too. Burke, how have you been?
Dude, I've been well. It's been a crazy few weeks. Penn State was a crazy weekend, and we were in Ann Arbor for the game, and then I was in Indianapolis for the Big Ten game. A lot of football. Yeah,
you like and look, this isn't going to be a sports episode, but Burke does like going to sports games, so I kind of wanted to touch on this, I guess, since you just brought it up. What about going to football games? Because I actually just went to the Cleveland Browns Cincinnati Bengals game yesterday, kind of spur of the moment. And so what about football games do you like what, as opposed to watching a game on TV, what makes you want to go?
So I absolutely love going to college football games, and I absolutely hate going to NFL games. I'm the biggest NFL fan, but I just love being able to sit on my couch and watch every game. But when it comes to college football, there's just a tangible energy in the air. Everyone's so excited. You're sitting in the student section. It's so much fun.
Yeah. I think the student section has a lot to do with why people prefer going to college games over
it's just
professional games. The fans at professional games are just not as into it, I guess, as college, because the college atmosphere, there's more camaraderie, I guess, in being an alumni or a student at a school than there is being a fan of an arbitrary team.
Exactly. That's how I always have felt. I grew up a Florida State fan because of my dad playing football at Florida State, but then obviously coming to Ohio State, I'm now #1 Buckeye fan, huge football fan.
Wait, your dad played at Florida State?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, for 3 years. Yeah,
that's cool. What did he play? Lineman. Oh, really? I did not know that. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Well. So would you say that the energy in the stadium is really more the reason why you?
Absolutely, it's just way more fun. It's something to do with your friends. It's also just a lot more convenient. Because living on campus, it's just easy to go walk there.
Walk to the shoe in 25, 30 minutes.
Exactly. Or when I went to the Michigan game, two of my best friends from home go to Michigan. It's a 10-minute walk from their house. It's just easy. It's fun. It's a good atmosphere. It's great vibes.
Yeah, I agree with that. I haven't been to a college. Actually, no. I went to the Wisconsin game earlier this year. So yeah. But the thing about me going to sporting events is like, so especially like, I prefer going to like basketball games over like football games just because it's in the arena, and I like being in an arena more than like out in the stadium a lot of time because like especially in Ohio it's cold and it's always cold out, and sometimes you'll get stuck in the rain like I did for Wisconsin. But I don't know, there is like such a novelty of like being there, especially for a great game like the Michigan Ohio State overtime game our freshman year. I think it was like 2016 or whatever.
That was
that was an amazing game. I was pretty much everybody was there.
I don't think I'll ever experience anything like that ever again in my life.
No, it was awesome, and like that, especially for it being like what was it, 2 versus 3. I think anyone, even if you weren't a football fan and you were there, just the atmosphere of the fans and how intense that entire situation was, especially at the end of the game.
It was the loudest I've ever heard the shoe, and probably the loudest the shoe will ever be.
Yeah.
Then we won in overtime, that Curtis Samuel touchdown. It felt like there was an earthquake.
Yeah.
Literally an earthquake. Just people running down the bleachers, the fans going crazy. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
When do you think it's appropriate to storm the field?
Okay, so this, I know he's asking because he knows my take on this. So basically, I think you should only storm the field if it's either a huge upset, which Ohio State isn't really part of upsets unless we're the team being upset, or if it's like the Curtis Samuel overtime touchdown, in my opinion, perfect reason to storm the field. 2 versus 3, Michigan at home. There's simply no bigger game than that.
Mm-hmm.
But like when we stormed the field against Penn State, I was livid.
Yeah.
We played like crap. We did not play well. And we barely squeaked out a win against an, in my opinion, overrated Penn State team. Still a very good team, but overrated. And kids were rushing the field to rush the field, and I get it. It's fun, but like as having rushed the field for the Ohio State Michigan game my freshman year, I have no reason to ever rush the field ever again.
No.
And I'm just like, people rushing the field, I was like, these people are like, they're not football fans. They're doing it for fun. And like, I guess, call me a hater because I'm hating on people having fun. But like, as a football fan, you need to know when it's appropriate to storm the field, and that just wasn't an appropriate time, in my opinion.
Yeah, and storming it when you're the favorite is a bad look.
Yeah, especially when you don't cover, because I totally didn't bet on the Buckeyes to cover. No, I would never.
Yeah, so it's like, for all of that, it being a favorite and storming the field, unless it's like a 2 versus 3 or a 1 versus 2 or like that kind of thing, like.
Exactly.
Or if it's a rivalry game, like, yeah. And I guess you could
when you're
say
over,
Penn State is a rivalry game, but, like, when you're the heavy favorites against that team,
we were
underperform.
We were an 18.5-point favorite, and we didn't cover.
Yeah.
Not saying that point spread should have anything to do with storming the field, but we were an 18.5-point favorite, and we didn't cover at home.
Yeah, so.
But
yeah, I guess I want to touch on that, but let's go into this is a segment. I don't know how it's going to work well, but we'll try it anyway. This is called Don't Be Someone's Boy, Be Their Buoy. So
TJ just
explain this to everybody.
So I call everyone my boy. I like, if you know me, I have a lot of boys. Like, I call everyone's my boy. I'll be like, oh yeah, my boy. But TJ goes, is he your boy or your buoy? And he used to just say buoy just like as a tongue in cheek, because TJ loves to take little things that you say and just completely turn them on you. And I've gotten better at it not triggering me anymore, but I cannot tell you how many times on a football Sunday or we're just watching something, hanging out in the living room, and just the dumbest comment that you make, TJ will just absolutely go off. Will go on just the craziest rant. It's part of the reason he's such a successful podcaster, because he can take that one thing you say and talk about it for hours.
Yeah. So basically what this is I was thinking about, like, cause I always like say that to Burke. I'm like, cause like he would always say boy in a way that sounded like buoy.
Yeah, that too. I like
the way he pronounced it.
Shout out my big Noah Nardone. He loves to say words a little weird. So every now and then I'll just be like, yeah, it's my boy.
Yeah, my boy. And that
that's my boy.
My boy became my buoy.
And now it's my buoy. And then we were talking about it, and you know what? And TJ was like, is there a difference between being someone's boy? Because you realistically, we're in a fraternity of 100 kids. Yeah. Every kid in the fraternity is your boy. But you think about what a buoy is. Buoy is something that keeps you afloat. Who are your buoys?
Yeah, and not only that, a buoy is also like obviously if you know anything about the ocean, or if you've been to a beach, you see those little floating
devices. That's what I'm saying.
Right, exactly.
A buoy keeps you afloat.
Yes, it keeps you afloat. We were talking about, it also gives you direction, because like buoys are used to direct boats in a direction. So we thought, buoys are like your close friends that like they keep you up, and they also like give you direction when you need it. It got a funny little pun I made kind of turned into a philosophical discussion. And so, Burke, what would you define as your buoy?
So what I said is your buoy is someone who you would bail out of jail, or they would bail you out of jail.
Yep.
Someone who is going to be invited to your wedding, possibly even a groomsman, best man. Someone that you have a group chat with. If you're in a group chat, like in a group chat with these people, like a small group chat, they're probably your buoys.
And what would you define as a small group chat?
Anything under 6 or under 10, maybe.
Under 10, so
like your group like the way I think about it is like my group chat from home, my buoys, my boys from home. Because everyone's got, you've got your boys from home.
Yeah.
You got your boys from school. Some kids got their boys from camp. Not me, but,
Yeah. Or your boys from your sports teams or whatever it may be.
Exactly. But, like, your buoys are, like, if you're in jail and you're like, okay, who am I going to call to bail you out? I'm sinking. I need someone to keep me afloat. Because, everyone's got a lot of friends. We all go out on the weekends. We know so many people here at Ohio State. In different frats and from different circles and whatnot. And, like, you consider all these kids your friends, and they're your friends. But who are your buoys?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to call my friends, like, the kids I see out on the weekends to bail me out of jail.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm calling TJ to bail me out of jail.
Yeah, you're calling your buoys.
I'm calling John French to bail me out of jail. I'm calling Jared Wolf and Stephen Kane to bail me out of jail.
Yep.
And that's how it is.
Yeah, and I think we all need buoys. And girls, ladies, you need your buoys too. Okay?
Your buoy is someone who you could not talk to for 2 months and then text out of the blue, and it's like you never stop talking. It's someone that you could just pick up with at any moment.
Right.
Maybe it's someone from elementary school who you were friends with all growing up. Your parents are friends. Maybe you guys fell out of touch a little bit, but that if stuff got real, you could give them a call and they'd have your back. That's a buoy.
Exactly. And it's somebody that, like, when you feel like the world's turned on you, find your buoy.
Find your buoy. They'll keep you afloat.
Shout out. So, yeah, anyone can have buoys. Everybody probably does have buoys. So, shout out to buoys. Next,
and just make it clear, there's definitely some buoys I didn't name. I just wasn't gonna go down the list.
Yeah.
There's more people than I named. Don't worry.
Yeah,
I love you.
So, and I'm not gonna list anybody, but yeah, shout out to my buoys. You guys know.
Your buoys know my buoys know who you are.
Shout out to my female buoys. You guys are awesome too. All right. So that was interesting. All right. The next thing we're gonna talk about is Spotify year-end list discussion. So this has been kind of a big thing that's been going on social media, and an amazing marketing tactic by Spotify, who is like now the biggest music conglomerate
definitely the biggest streaming platform.
Yeah, that exists today. Them and obviously Apple. It's kind of like the big battle to see who's gonna have the most, and I guess Tidal, you could throw them in there too.
Nah, Tidal.
Who uses Tidal?
Yeah, Jay-Z putting his music on Spotify on Wednesday or whatever day it was. That's all you need to know about Tidal.
that's basically like Tidal taking the L.
Tidal took the L. Jay-Z took the L. He realized that he could make those extra streaming dollars. That as much as I love Jay-Z and love me some Beyonce, I'm not paying an extra $15 a month or $10 a month just to listen to him.
Yeah, exactly. And so we had, this has kind of been like a thing that we've seen. Everybody posts them on their social media page, like, because I guess Spotify, and if you don't know what we're talking about, basically Spotify every year they do this thing where they post a list of like all of the music you've listened to the most, like artists you listen to the most, songs you've listened to the most, I don't know if they do albums.
If you've been on Instagram and for less than 10
if you
minutes,
haven't been under a rock for the last,
you know what Spotify Wrapped is.
Yeah, if you haven't been under a rock for the last week, you know exactly what we're talking about. So I posted mine on social media, but
I will not be posting mine. I'm taking the contrarian stand. Not that I don't think I think it's very interesting to see what some people listen to.
Right.
But I'm gonna just go contrarian and not post
mine. Would you like to share yours?
So not share mine, but this is something we were talking about in the living room the other day. Our top albums of the decade.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Top
albums. We can do this. But yeah, but just touching on it, like I kind of wanted to just, before we get into this.
You want to know my Spotify Wrapped?
Yeah, I wanted to know.
Well, I can tell you one thing. I know my top artist off a rip is going to be Travis Scott, who I know you're such a huge fan of and loving supporter of Travis.
Yeah, he's all right.
You love everything every song he's ever created.
Yep, everything he's ever done.
Travis
can do no wrong.
Now, Travis, the GOAT, and it's a little tongue in cheek because Travis.
Yeah,
our boy TJ is not the biggest Travis fan of all time.
Yeah, I like him. We've talked about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, thing I wanted to just talk about with this Spotify thing. I mean, you don't have to share yours, but I was just gonna say, like, I think it's kind of a brilliant idea because it kind of taps into two things that we've kind of seen society go to in it's tapped into two like directions we've seen society go into. One is self-indulgence and self-love in the sense of like everybody wants to share their personal list on their social media page, like, oh, look at all the music I'm listening to, and in the grand scheme, like, and look, I'm just as much a victim as everybody else is. I do it too, and you know, it's like, oh, look at me, look how much, like, look at all the songs I'm listening to. But not only that, it taps into the second thing, which is people's like sudden obsession with data, and you know, this is like something that's going across like all types of like mediums when it comes to the internet, and you know, whether it's marketing or research or anything like that, you know, it's all about data. Sports, even, it's all about data. So like it's amazing to see like something so simple as like seeing how many songs you've listened to over the past 365 days, like, and how many times you've listened to those songs and what artists you're listening to. It's really a brilliant idea by Spotify, and you know you're doing it well when you don't even have to really market yourself. You just let your users market your brand for you, and it builds like brand loyalty and you know, all sorts of stuff. So I don't know. I just kind of wanted to touch on it, and it's a good segue into a list that Burke has compiled of his favorite albums. You're doing
I did albums of the decade.
Cool. Favorite albums of the decade. So he's gonna go through. Are these lists?
So this is just a random list. So I went through like I spent like half hour for 45 minutes looking at like 5 to 10 different like top 100 lists from a bunch of different services. And what I did was I needed it just, you know, for those later years or earlier years.
Yeah, that's what you have to do.
So I pretty much took this is probably about 15, 20 albums that of the decade that I really like, and it's like. Some of them are pretty obvious, and some of them TJ and I are going to agree on.
Yeah.
But others are definitely going to be very unique to myself. So I'm.
Before you get started, are these like all ranked, or is it just
I did not rank these.
Okay, so they're not ranked.
I'm not. I'm against ranking it. I just kind of like having the list and just kind of discuss it. So
fair.
I'm gonna. So if it's cool with you, I'm gonna start with my ones that I think we're gonna agree on off rip. So. One of my top albums of the decade is Kanye's My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Say what you want about Kanye now. He's an absolute kook, in my opinion, now. But that's his best album ever and one of the top albums of the decade, in my opinion.
This is going to show up on a lot of lists because
it was the top on few lists.
Yeah,
number one.
And the reason I'm interested in this is because I'm going to be compiling my top 20 of the decade as a part of list season coming up at the end of the year, which I'll get into a little bit later and maybe in another episode. But anyway, yeah, but this album is great, and I'm probably going to be talking about this a lot. A lot of people debate whether this is the best Kanye album.
In my opinion, it is.
There's an argument to be had. And, you know, everything, this was really like an interesting album because this was coming off of what is it? 808s and Heartbreaks, and
Where after his mom died, and then
and
the
that
Taylor
was
Swift controversy.
Yeah, and that was a very like understood album kind of by the general public. Like a lot of people were very polarized on it. So for him to go back to a rap album like this, and not only this is the most aggressive that I think we hear him outside of like Yeezus and some of those songs, but like he's very aggressive on this album. He's very like the Kanye that we're all gonna really remember. Like
this is the Kanye that I'll tell this is the Kanye West that I think we'll all be telling our kids about.
Right, exactly.
And like just the stories that go along with this album. How he basically, after the Taylor Swift stuff, he went to Hawaii, and he built himself from scratch a recording studio and holed up there. He was like, I'm going to be in this recording studio, and I'm going to put out the best album I've ever put out. I'm going to spend hours and hours and hours on like second clips of every song, and I'm not leaving until I've created the best album ever. And it truly shows. Something that I thought was really cool was there was an excerpt from the Rick Ross like biography or autobiography that I saw posted on like Fader or something a few months ago. How basically what Kanye did was he handpicked every single artist on the song. There was no label putting these people on. He called up every single person individually and was like, hey, I want you, and this is what you're gonna do. And so for example, Monster, the song Monster, Rick Ross's verse. The verse for Monster, he recorded it, and Kanye came in and goes, nope, Rick, you're better than that. You can do better. And Rick Ross spent hours and hours and hours, and then so they record it, all's good. Rick Ross leaves Hawaii, comes back to and then, days before the album's about to be released, Kanye calls Rick Ross up again and goes, hey, I think you can do even better. Here's a half hour. Figure it out.
Wow. Gave him the ultimatum. Yeah. I mean, Kanye is one of those artists that is like very particular and really likes to be in complete control. And he's a visionary. He's kind of like a director in that sense. Yeah. And I mean, the beats on this thing are amazing across the board. Just some of the best beats he's ever made. I think So Appalled is arguably my favorite Kanye song of all time. If not one of my, I mean, just 4 incredible verses back to back to back to back.
Pusha T on there is wild.
Yes. And Sci-Hi the Prince, who was recording this verse, I guess what I read was like that he was recording his verse kind of like in between recordings, and Kanye like walked in on him recording that verse and said, we're adding this to the song. So he kind of just got like thrown in last second, and his verse arguably is the best on the track. I mean, it's amazing that if God had an iPod, I'd be on his playlist. I'm like, oh, that's so hard. Yeah, dope. So
anyway, I'll go with a few more of my ones that I think are pretty consensus. Good Kid, Mad City by Kendrick. Basically Kendrick's first or second studio album. My thing with albums, I love albums that have one central theme and story, and I love being able to listen to an album all the way through.
Totally, me too.
Someone who I think is really good at that is Travis Scott for Astroworld. Like, it was the same kind of deal, but I mean, no one has done it better than Kendrick. Just with the skits and just the story of Compton and his growing up in Compton, I think it's just such a great album. Every song is a heater. It's amazing.
He's been really able to he's like really one of the only artists of this decade that's been able to like capture the mainstream rap fans and the underground rap fans, and I think it's just his sound is so unique, and this album is great. Everything on it, the flow of it, I mean the tracks, Swimming Pool, Mad City, what a banger that is. What is it? Even the Drake track I think is pretty good, and Drake even has one of his best feature verses, honestly, on that track. I enjoy Poetic Justice a lot, and yeah, it's a great album. It's a great West Coast rap album. The Dr. Dre stuff is great. The beats on there are really good. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be making my list too, probably.
So now that we're talking about Drake, I got 2 Drake albums on my top 10, or not top 10, sorry, it's my top of the decade. The number one is gonna be Take Care. It's my favorite Drake album. I think it's the best Drake album. I believe came out in 2011, and just again everything on there is it's everything that you think about Drake. He does the sing-songy stuff all the way down to Marvin's Room, and then you've got Drake rapping. It's just everything that you love about Drake all in one album, done very well.
Yeah. I like it a lot. Great album. It's probably my favorite Drake album too. I think because of the time that it came out. Some of the tracks don't hold up as well, but as compared to some of his other stuff, this album is definitely going to be one that's going to be remembered. And yeah, I agree. I really like it a lot. It's got some good. It's probably some of Drake's best singing on it. And I like the Motto. That's a fun track. And in the track with Rick Ross with that beat, oh my god, that Lord knows that song is a banger. I like the UGK track.
The Weeknd.
Yeah, he's got the Weeknd. He kind of helped bring the Weeknd into the mix with that. What is that song? Love in the Crew.
Crew Love.
Crew Love. Yeah, good stuff. So yeah, I'll probably talk about that one too in the future.
Now this one is this might be a little bit more controversial with you, TJ. If you're reading this, it's too late. I absolutely love that album, even though it's now I know I said I love albums that are top to bottom make sense. This is more of a collection of tracks, but I think this collection of tracks is by far Drake's best pure rapping that he's ever done, and I love Drake rapping. And also it came out at a really great time for me. So it came out, I believe our junior year of high school.
Yeah.
I remember. So it came out. So I went on a teacher in my school who is a great family friend of ours, Mr. Goldman, Arthur Goldman. Every year he would run a trip around the world. So it came out the week before I left to go on a 8-day long London, Paris, Rome trip, and it was by far the playlist of the trip. We were listening to that album the entire trip for both 12-hour flights. I listened to it maybe 3-4 times each flight. We had it playing on speakers on the bus. So part of it's nostalgia and remembering that trip. Part of it is also I just think it's his best work.
Yeah. I like it. I actually like the album. I think it's kind of good. Like especially like for the state that Drake was in, he was kind of on the top of the world at that point. He still is, but like he was kind of becoming that face of hip hop, and I do like the aggressive nature.
It was definitely less vulnerable than.
I just don't buy it from him as much. Like
Really?
I don't buy him as a thug.
I love the cock. So that's part of it is Drake's shtick is that he's very vulnerable, but this album, it's the complete opposite. He's so cocky, and I love that.
And tough, and I do in other places, but that on top of the ghostwriting stuff, which who cares? I really don't care about that whole narrative as much. Like for me, like a lot of rappers don't write their stuff, but like the fact that Drake has tried to deny it is kind of soft on his part, I think. But as for me though, that album, if you're reading this, it's too late. I liked some of the tracks on there, and I do agree it's definitely one of his better rap albums. But again, for me personally, it wouldn't make my top list. It's not one that I go back to too much.
Shout out Quentin Miller.
Yeah, Quentin Miller wrote a lot of the work. Because he did the 10 Bands track.
10 Bands, famously.
Yeah, and I like Quentin Miller's version better. You can find it on the internet. I think
that's an absolutely classic SoundCloud remix, and also another one I recommend is Quentin Miller, the Rico reference track, the Drake Meek Mill Rico reference track.
Yep,
it's another
I've heard that
another
one too.
SoundCloud classic. All right, I'll get into some more albums. Maybe go a little quicker. I really love Watch the Throne. It was one of like the first big collab albums that you've seen now. Juice WRLD, Future, Young Thug, but like Watch the Throne is like, in my opinion, it's like that's the first big collab album, and just Jay-Z, Kanye, when those guys were still friends, when they were each other's buoys.
Yeah, they're not buoys anymore.
And there was just nothing better. They were on top of the world.
Yeah, I think Watch the Throne is so overrated. I just do. I like 3 or 4 tracks off it, but some of that stuff.
Part of it's definitely that it just came back on Spotify, so I've been listening to it a lot.
Yeah,
lately.
a little recency bias, but
and
yeah,
and it's like you kind of forgot. I kind of forgot about it, and then I listened to it through the other day, and I was just like, oh yeah, no, this is awesome.
No, a lot of people love it. A lot of people love it.
I mean, the No Church in the Wild song with Frank Ocean is amazing.
Great track.
N-Words in Paris is amazing. The song Otis with Otis Redding.
Yeah, I like
phenomenal.
that Otis Redding sample is really good.
I really love the song Ham, Hard as a Motherfucker. That was on my that was on my high school. That was my high school wrestling pump up track list.
That was on a NBA like 2K like 16 or something too. Yeah. I remember that.
Another one, Welcome to the Jungle is another great one. I just love it. Then let's see.
It's a good album. I just don't think it's as great as everybody thinks it is. I think it's fine.
So another one for me is gonna be 2 Frank Ocean albums, Channel Orange and Blonde. I've seen on all the lists I saw, a lot of people had Blonde over Channel Orange, but for me, I want to put Channel Orange over Blonde.
I agree.
Yeah, I was noticing, looking at my list, I pick a lot of people's debut albums. I like people's older stuff more than their new stuff. I don't know if that says something about me or what it is. Like
a lot of people are like that.
For example, another one I have on my list came out in 2011. The Weeknd's first big mixtape, House of Balloons. A lot of people don't realize, but the album, the trilogy that you see on Spotify is really the collection of his first 3 mixtapes.
Yep.
And House of Balloons is that first one, and it's just probably the greatest collection of 7, 8, 9 songs that he's ever put out.
What are the other 2 called?
I don't know.
I don't remember either.
And that's like telling it itself. But the song "High for This" is an absolute classic. The House of Balloons, Glass Table Girls, The Morning, Wicked Games, The Party After the After Party, just everything about it. The Coming Down, just all amazing
The
songs.
Weeknd has like captured that aesthetic in like R&B as being like that real like braggadocious like, but at the same time like having that really like eerie sound to him, and I think that has become so influential in R&B music. Like so many people have tried to take the Weeknd sound. Like even like one of my favorite artists, Zoo, who's on my he's on my Spotify thing, because I'm only on Spotify for a couple months and blah blah blah, but not important. But yeah, Zoo has also like I've kind of criticized him for sounding a little bit too much like the Weeknd at times. And the Weeknd's very influential, and I like him a lot. I saw him in concert a couple of years ago. He was really good. So, oh, by the way, it's called House of Balloons, Thursday, and Echoes of Silence. Those are the 3 mixtapes that become the trilogy.
There you go.
Another one, there.
Another early 2000s one. This one is going to be kind of out of left field. I really love Lana Del Rey's first album, Born to Die.
Never listened to it.
I love it. I don't know. Born to Die, Off to the Races, video games, national anthem. I've listened to it so many times. It's kind of a little guilty pleasure of mine. Not something. Maybe it's not going to be on a lot of people's lists. Her album Ultra Violence or Norman fucking Rockwell was on a lot of lists, but Born to Die I only really saw on one, and it kind of reminded me that I listened to it all the time.
Do you like any of Lana's new music or?
Not really. There's just something. I think something about it is just when it came out. It came out I think like freshman year of high school. I was listening to it a lot at the time. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like her new music and I listen to it, but there's just something about that first album that it's my favorite.
Yeah. You think you've liked a lot more of the first albums just because
I noticed
you liked
that
the first impression?
I don't know what it is. I just really noticed that I really like. For example, another one on my list, Cole World, Sideline Story, J. Cole's first studio album. Another one on here is Long Live ASAP, A$AP Rocky's first studio album.
Yeah, that's a really good album.
I kind of forget, and again, a lot of these you forget about.
I was thinking of Live Love A$AP, the mixtape. That was the one I really liked.
Yeah, I mean that's another great one too.
Yeah, that one I really liked. Long Live A$AP had some good moments though. I liked the Kendrick track and the Drake or whatever, and
Goldie.
Goldie. Yeah.
I mean, One Train might be one of the best like collab songs of all time.
That song.
I mean, One Train is just phenomenal. I mean,
best verse on One Train.
Action Bronson.
Really?
Or no, I was trying to guess yours. Who's yours?
Big Crit. at the end.
Big Crit is gas. I gotta look at the album real quick. Yellow Wolf.
Either him or Yellow Wolf.
Yellow Wolf and Joey Badass both slap.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all great. Wild for the Night was like, I mean, at the time, Skrillex was a big deal back then, but the song Wild for the Night was Skrillex really kind of put him on like the more mainstream map. Ghetto Symphony with Gunplay and A$AP Ferg was kind of everyone's first look at A$AP Ferg, and part of obviously like he's part of A$AP, but I think that song was really what put him on the map. That and the Work remix with A$AP Rocky.
I like the song Angels too.
I really like the song Fashion Killer, and also, I mean, fucking Problems. Like,
yeah,
say what you want about it, but it slaps.
Yeah, that Fashion Killer, I was not a big fan of that one, but also, I liked Angels. That one's dope.
Also, I really love Schoolboy Q, PMW, Pussy Money Weed.
Oh, yeah.
Pussy Money Weed, that's all you really need.
I love Schoolboy.
Exactly. Some more albums on here. I put Daytona on here.
Love.
I mean, it's 7 songs, but it's Pusha T, it's Coke Rap. It's perfect.
You know me. Love that album.
Love me some Coke Rap. What else we got on here? This one is going to be, I'm not expecting most people to know this album, and if you do, I love you. 99.9% by K Tronada.
Yeah, he's a really interesting producer.
Super talented. So he is. So a lot of people don't know, or a lot of people, if they do know him, they know him as someone who produces a lot of Anderson .Paak stuff.
Yeah.
So his album, 99.9%, it's like this crazy blend of like house, jazz, soul. It's just everything. It's like it's you know what it is? It came out in 2016. It's like peak 2017 to 2019 pop music, but like without poppy artists. It's just very authentic. The song Together with Aluna George and GoldLink, Drive Me Crazy, Vic Mensa, One Too Many.
I love that. I love Fonte, so I love One Too Many. That's a really good track.
I only know Fonte because of One Too Many.
He's a really good rapper and a really good singer. He was a part of a group called Lil Brother that was like from the 90s and 2000s. I like him
probably
a lot.
The most commercially recognized song on this album is probably going to be Glowed Up with Anderson .Paak. I mean, it's just it's a really good song. Also, the song Got It Good with Craig David. Phenomenal.
Yeah, K Tronada is really good. He's coming out with new music too soon.
Yeah, this week I believe.
Oh right.
I saw here. I saw. I'm in a group chat with like 600 people. It's like Dat Nunu. Someone posted that he's coming out with a new album, and there's some supposedly the features on there are crazy. I haven't looked at it yet. The song's called Bubba, or the album's called Bubba. Sorry.
Interesting.
Let's take a look.
Yeah, but while you're doing that, K Tronada, the Aluna George GoldLink one, I like that one. I listened to the album. It's been like a year or two.
I was listening to it on the walk over here, just to kind of remind myself how much I really
funky.
loved it.
It's funky.
I love funk
yeah.
music. A lot of people, I mean, some people know this about me, some don't. I love all music. I listen to everything. If you look at my Spotify, after hip hop and EDM, my most listened to genre is going to be reggae and then classic rock. I listen to a lot of reggae. I listen to a lot of jazz. I just really love music. I mean, really, the only thing I don't listen to is country. I can't stand country music.
And I'm from a town that's big on country music, but
can't stand it.
Not for me.
Just not my.
What electronic music have you been listening to?
I mean, you've put me on to Zoo. Been listening to a lot of Zoo.
Zoo's nice.
I've been listening to. I love Nightmare. After we, TJ and I were lucky enough to see Nightmare when we were.
I've seen him a couple of times. Yeah, he's
that was
really
my
good.
first time. I absolutely was in love. I fell in love at Omnia. Let me pull up my EDM playlist.
Yeah.
The song. Let's put throw some songs out there. I really like Troy Boy. Listen to a lot of Troy Boy. He just has like a really cool sound to him.
Wonky.
Exactly. I love that funky, wonky, weird stuff. Like I saw Troy Boy we saw him at Breakaway. We caught like the last half of his set, and I had so much fun. What else? I listen to all genres of EDM really, but my favorite's probably like more house trance stuff. Obviously, if you've ever seen TJ DJ, TJ loves those headbangers, and I love me some headbangers too. But I really like Old Cascade is really cool. Like the more zoo housey stuff, in my opinion, like Chris Lake, I love.
Yeah, Chris Lake's fun.
And then also, but like at the same time, like song called "Criminals" by Rez and Mala is an absolute spine snapper.
Yeah, I like Rez. I need to see her again. I saw her a few years ago, but it was like before she was really like popular, and I was like, this is really interesting music. I was like, this little girl's up here just playing this nasty music, and it's just dope. And I love her aesthetic. And now she's like gotten really big, and like she's got a budget now, and like good for her, man. Shout out to Rez. She's dope, and I like the big glasses with the lights, and she's got it going on. I like her whole deal, so shout out to her. And her music just has thick bass, which I like.
Yeah, no. And then so I'll throw out the last of my albums real quick, and you can just give me your quick thoughts.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. Back to.
Yeah. Right.
Back to,
Let's go all the way
albums.
back. So, the album AM by Arctic Monkeys. I don't listen to a ton of them, but that album is just it's considered their best album, and it's definitely my favorite Arctic Monkeys album.
A lot of my one of my good friends likes Arctic Monkeys a lot.
Yeah, it's like they're just like a cool band. Like when you think of a band, like in this day and age, they're
like
from
a modern
London.
rock.
Just they're just super cool guys.
I don't think I've listened to much of their stuff.
Dirty Sprite too. I kind of I'm at one point I don't want to put a Future album on here, but at the same time it's his best album, and Future is so, in my opinion, it's my favorite album. It's his best album, and Future he's so influential in so much of the music that we listen to now. I think I kind of have to put it on there.
Totally. I mean, he kind of helped like shape the mumble rap sound pretty much, and with the auto crooning and the mumble rap, and like with Future, like lately his music's been pretty terrible.
It's the same stuff. I don't even really listen anymore. Like,
yeah.
What I'll do is I'll text my friends who I know are listening and say, all right, pick 3 songs that I have to listen to.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I like try to do with like when I listen to these when I listen to those kind of albums, is like I'm just like, because I'm not looking for like any deep content. I mean, that's always like something I want and something I'll commend, but like for Future, like I'm just like, what songs knock, what songs are catchy, and if none of them are, then that's a problem. Like, because that's kind of why he exists, is to make club bangers and catchy radio hits, and if you're not doing that, then you're failing at your job. But Future, you know, he's been doing his thing, and yeah, you know, he's cool. I like the songs I like by Future, I really like, and the songs I don't like, well,
they suck.
Yeah.
And then last 2 on here, I have Acid Rap. I mean, come on, that's the best. That's I kind of just want to block everything else Chance the rappers put out before, like afterwards, and just kind of pretend it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Acid Rap is just so good. And then another one on here is Swimming by Mac Miller. Part of it is that it did come out.
Is it, so you think this is his best album?
I do. So
why?
It's the one, maybe it's not his best album, but it's my favorite album. It's the one I find myself listening to the most. It's definitely it's the one I've listened to the most recently, and just going back, and also part of it is definitely, it is right before he died. It came out a few weeks or a month before he died.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that's it. That's all we're getting. I mean, like you see with like guys like X and Lil Peep, when they die, their estates continue to put out music, but as of right now, there's been no new Mac.
Yeah, there's been a couple of verses,
and they're mostly leaks and like stuff.
Yeah.
But like it sounds like his estate at least for the moment is pretty much set on not really releasing any new stuff. But meanwhile, you see X and Lil Peep, all this stuff coming out. I mean, granted, the Lil Peep album is really good, and a lot of the X stuff that has come out hasn't been. And it's like it seems like Lil Peep's estate is a little bit more calculated with what they've been putting out, versus X's estate has been just kind of throwing everything out there and trying to collect a check.
And I think a lot of it is like how much of a track they have finished. Like you see, and this is something we'll see with Juice WRLD, rest in peace. Like, is what tracks they actually have finished. Like, because like with X, like a lot of those tracks because I listened to the new XXX album that was released this past weekend, and I was just thinking the whole time, like, all these tracks just sound like demos. Like, they don't sound like they were ever supposed to reach the surface, and here they are. Like, and that's kind of like it's almost like disrespectful.
And that's
maybe,
that's kind of what I'm saying. His estate is kind of just throwing everything out there. And I haven't listened to the new X album yet. I will eventually. I'll get around to it.
It's blah as hell.
Exactly. But, you know, the Little Peep album that came out recently, it was good. There's a lot of good stuff on there. I mean, if you don't like Little Peep, that's fine. But at least it seems like Little Peep's estate has been a lot more calculated with what they've been putting out.
Yeah, but back to the point I was trying to make is like that may be because he has a lot more finished tracks than maybe an X or a Juice WRLD or whoever. And like, maybe we should touch on Juice WRLD for a second because that was pretty crazy. Yesterday, Juice WRLD passed away from an overdose
or seizure.
Seizure. Never mind. Not an overdose. We don't know that.
We don't. I guess. Yeah. I mean, there's rumors that he had epilepsy. There's also rumors that he just drank a ton of lean and did a lot of drugs. So there's really no way to know.
Yeah, I jumped to a conclusion there.
But all they know is, unfortunately, he died at the young age of 21 of a seizure, and it's.
But like,
I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of his music. I listened to it and I appreciated it, but I wasn't something I listened to a lot of.
Right.
But I have found myself listening to a lot of it in the last few days, or the last, I guess, day, just kind of like reflecting, and it's just really sad to see someone that talented or that talented die so young and so tragically.
Yeah, it is, and like I just think the thing about it is like. We've just seen this like glorification of drug use, and this is not just a recent thing in music. I mean, this is something that has been going on for years, and but now we're just seeing almost like the repercussions of it. And
I saw a very interesting tweet. It was that the last generation of rappers sold drugs, and this generation of rappers took them.
Totally.
And you're seeing it now with...
That's a really good point.
Mac Miller, Little Peep, and Juice WRLD, and, there's other guys. Obviously X unfortunately didn't die of a drug overdose, but you see there's other guys I can't even think of right now.
Yeah, and even like guys like
ASAP Yams.
Yeah, and Pimp C, and, even you go back, and you can even say, like all those guys died of overdoses of cough syrup, like a lot of the Houston scene. Like, they've taken a huge hit from
and
that.
You see guys like Lil Wayne, who, had alleged a lot of codeine and lean.
Yeah, and he's had seizures from that
had seizures,
shit. Yeah.
and you can tell that him talking, it's like... You can go to earlier interviews and interviews now where it's like, is he still all there? Like what's going on?
Yeah, and the thing, like, when I was just mentioning Juice WRLD, I said that he died of an overdose, and obviously I was jumping to a conclusion because we don't 100% know that, but, like, I mean, how many people do you know at age 21 die of a seizure, like, unless you have some sort of condition?
Or if you hit your head on the way down.
Right, or obviously there's exceptions, but, like, how many people in an airport do you just see have a seizure at age 21 and die? Like without some sort of drug addiction. And this is coming from an artist that, I mean, I haven't listened to a whole lot of Juice WRLD, but I can tell you that the music I have listened from him, he's talked about taking prescription drugs, like, recreationally. And, that's, you're kind of sealing your own fate at that point. Like, I don't know. But, yeah, back to your albums.
That was pretty much it.
Oh, that was it? But yeah.
I think the only other ones, I put on... you've talked about Travis on here before, but I put on Astroworld, and then I really like Days Before Rodeo, more so than I like Rodeo and Birds in the Trap. I really love Days Before Rodeo, and Owl Pharaoh, I think, are just phenomenal.
Yeah, I like Days Before
Rodeo. And then
Rodeo.
Astroworld is, my opinion, his best album in that. I really love what he does in Astroworld, where it's from first to last song, every song goes into the other.
Yeah, they're mixed into each other.
Everything's mixed into each other. It's very well done. You can say what you want about Travis, even if you're not the biggest Travis fan. You can tell he put a lot of work and thought into the album.
Yeah, he has a lot of expensive beats, a lot of yeah, I do agree. He's very good at like composing songs.
Obviously he's a Kanye prodigy, but he reminds me of like the way Kanye really, handpicks all of his features and is very specific about his stuff. It's like it's very art directed. It's very the way Kanye, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is art directed. Astroworld is very art directed. Rodeo is kind of art directed. Birds in the Trap is a little less art directed, but I love it.
Birds in the Trap is not for
I
will not defend that album, but Rodeo I do like a lot.
Yeah.
And Astroworld I like parts of. But yeah, everybody's heard my take.
Last one, I guess the only one we haven't talked about. I put Malibu by Anderson .Paak on here.
Great album.
Huge Anderson .Paak guy.
Yeah, and that's definitely he's got some great production on there too. Yeah, good stuff. I really like that album. But so that's your list, right?
Yeah, those are my albums of the decade. So I'll just go through them real quick. in no particular order: My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Good Kid, Mad City, Take Care, Channel Orange, Watch the Throne. If you're reading this, it's too late. 99%, Swimming, Long Live ASAP, Acid Rap, House of Balloons, Dirty Sprite 2, Born to Die, Blonde, Daytona, Cold Worlds, Astro World, Malibu, AM by the Arctic Monkeys, and Days Before Rodeo. That's kind of just my just going through lists and seeing, just kind of picking up on trends and what albums were brought up a lot. And just kind of picking my favorite off those lists. I think that's the best way to do it.
That is. And that's kind of like how I'm going to base my list. Obviously, I'm going to have some curveballs in there because I listen to a lot of crazy shit. But I will say this. A few of those albums will be talked about. And that's why I didn't really want to go into too much detail with a lot of them because I'm going to talk about them myself. But I definitely like hearing your list because it gives me some ideas what I want to do with my list. But mine will be ranked 20-1. So that's why they're going to take me some time. But we'll get into that. I'll talk about that at the end.
I couldn't put it. I really don't like putting a rank to it. It's just so arbitrary. I mean, I could give you like a top 3, which I would say is My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Good Kid, Mad City, and then that third spot is tough, but oof. I'm not okay. There's my top 2 is Good Kid, Mad City, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. That's my top 2 in no order. I'm not getting into ranking the rest. It's so arbitrary. It's tough, not worth it.
It's tough,
in my opinion. There's no reason. There's just no reason. Like what you like.
Yeah, totally.
Consume it.
I just think the thing with list making, and I'm obviously going to get into this at the end, but I like about it, it gives me a chance to just like kind of organize my priorities, I guess. Like,
well, I'm talking more about
like what are like what album like would take priority over another, I guess, for my personal taste. But whatever. Last thing I want to talk about is something that I never told you we were going to talk about, but what's it like living with me? I forgot to ask Alex this question. God. I forgot to ask Alex this question.
What is it like living with TJ the DJ?
It's been almost
let me give J the boss man.
Let me give a little preamble before I let you just rain hell on me. But
I got nothing for
you've been living with me for about semester now. Yeah, it's a semester. Yeah. Wow. And so what has it been like?
TJ is a great roommate. He's probably our best roommate. He is the cleanest of us all. By far. He does the most cleaning. To my defense, I don't do dishes because I don't cook. I order pretty much every meal.
Yeah.
So I kind of get out of doing dishes but with that regard. But, maybe some of our other roommates, cough Alex and cough French, don't really clean that much. And TJ's definitely the first one to just start cleaning out of nowhere. And then I always like to hop in and help him because definitely it's the guilt trip. And TJ also knows that if I see him cleaning, that I'm not going to let him clean alone. Same can't be maybe said for some of our other roommates, cough Alex, cough French. TJ is also liable to just make random noises for absolutely no reason. I will just hear random goat noises.
I like to scream a lot when I'm at home.
Yep.
My parents get really pissed at me. My sister got really mad at me when we were growing up. I don't know why. It's like I just get like built up energy, especially like in the.
I think it's called ADHD.
Maybe undiagnosed, but most likely. And I think the thing about it is like I just come home and I'm like I just need to like I've been like whether if I'm outside or like at school or whatever, I'm just sitting in silence, or if I'm at work, like I'm sitting there quiet doing work, like the only thing I want to come home and do is just release energy. And I think the way that I do that is just by screaming and annoying the shit out of everybody around me.
Yes, no, TJ loves to just make random noises to break awkward silences.
I also love to annoy people.
Also, I think another thing with TJ is I have never, ever in my life see someone consume so much spaghetti. The kid eats what I like to call a family of 4 on food stamps portion of spaghetti. He eats about 1.5 pounds of spaghetti and like a 1/2 pound of meatballs. He eats it straight out of the pot. He mixes it all in the pot together and he kills it all. He eats a family of 4 portion of spaghetti.
Yeah, it's
like 6 times a week.
It's I am the pasta padre. That is my duty, is to consume as much pasta as humanly possible.
The al dente don.
But the thing is, like, I've been bulking up this winter, and I'm gonna start cutting.
Dude, how are you bulking up? It's Didn't you know? It's Cabo season.
Listen, January 6th is the day I'm cutting weight, and when I come back on the podcast, there'll be another episode in between now and then, but when I come back to the school year next semester on January 6th, I will officially be chopping.
Tej, how hard are we hitting the gym come January? It's Cabo season, man.
Yeah, it's officially Cabo season.
It is the Cabo season. Cabo San Lucas, Mexico.
That's where we're heading this spring.
So I'm gonna flip the question on you, TJ. What is it like living with me?
It's busy, interesting. I'm always coming in. You're always chilling in the living room. You're a big living room guy.
Yes, I'm always in the living room.
Yep. Burke's got all the accounts for all of the streaming and stuff. So like, there's always something interesting going on the TV, whether it's Disney Plus or the NBC Sports or whatever. He's got all that hookups with that.
I watch Get Up religiously every Monday, Tuesday morning.
Burke is always very animated on Football Sunday, and I'm always trying to aggravate him and Alex.
TJ makes it his personal mission to just go absolute contrarian on anything Alex and I said. To my credit, I try not to let it bother me anymore. I think I've gotten pretty good, but it is It is very easy to get our roommate Alex riled up. Getting our roommate Alex riled up is probably one of our favorite shared pastimes.
Oh, definitely.
It's just too easy.
I love bothering
Alex,
him.
if you're listening, dude, you make it way too easy.
Alex, I love bothering you.
It might be one of my favorite things.
I hope you hear this and just know I love when you get bothered.
You're just such a tiny package of rage. It's great.
I love ruffling your feathers.
Dude, it's amazing.
I love poking the bear. But But before we go, any big plans coming up here?
Not really.
For the break. Anything?
I'm driving home tomorrow. I'll be back. I'm from the eastern end of Long Island, East Hampton, New York. It's about an 11-12 hour drive, so I've got that ahead of me tomorrow. But I'm gonna be working. I've worked for Ralph Lauren in the same store for about 5-6 years. Be working the holiday season there. Maybe go out in Manhattan, I call it the city. Maybe 2-3 times, definitely for New Year's, and then come back to school, come back in time for the semester, and other than that, though, it's gonna be pretty low key. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going on vacation.
Craziest thing that's happened while you're working at Ralph. Like, is there any crazy stories of crazy customers?
I can't say names, but just some of the celebrities, famous musicians, actors, athletes that come in. Some of whom are just some of the nicest people I've ever met. Some of whom are just total assholes, not nice people. But for just I just can't say.
No, yeah, without disclosing identity, what is an example of someone being an asshole to you without obviously disclosing identity?
Just an ass. I wouldn't say anyone's a complete utter asshole, but a certain Cleveland Cavaliers basketball player maybe wasn't the nicest person in the world, but maybe one of the coolest people, nicest, most genuine people I've ever met is a certain member of the Marvel universe.
Oh,
very, very, very nice guy.
Shout out to Marvel movies.
He's been coming in for years. He'll come in. He knows me by name. He'll ask me how my day's been, what's been going on, and just a really good dude.
That's what's crazy is when you get celebrities that can memorize your name, because I can't remember anyone's name, and trust me, it's bitten me in the butt. Is not being able to remember names, especially people I'll meet and they'll know. The worst is when they know your name and you don't recognize them, or if you do recognize them, you just don't remember who they are. Because a lot of time when I meet people, I'm it's the brain can only hold so many names at one time.
Don't get me wrong. I've worked in the same store for 5 years now, so he's been coming in all 5 years. He didn't know my name year 2.
True.
Maybe. But year 3, year 4, we have rapport.
Yeah, you have rapport.
And he's been coming into the store for a long time. I've been helping him for a while, and he's just good dude.
Shout out. But thanks for coming on, man. This has been a really fun conversation. Got to get the people a feel for your music. Got to talk about our buoys.
Thank you for having me. I consider you one of my main buoys. And yeah, man, I've been wanting to come on for a while.
Yeah, you've been clamoring, so I got you.
Been clamoring.
I got you back.
TJ, I hope you have a great break. And
yeah, man.
Thanks, man.
I got lot of stuff coming. There will be another episode this month coming later. It's gonna be recorded tomorrow. Well, it doesn't really matter when tomorrow or whatever, but I'm gonna be recording another episode here soon. So be on the lookout for that. Yeah, keep rating, keep commenting, keep subscribing. I know you guys are out there. Drop a comment. You know, what I'm gonna do next time is drop a comment in the Apple Podcast review section. You know how you can do the comments there. Drop a comment. I'll read the comments out. If you have a funny one, I don't even care if
you've gotten this far into the podcast. If you text me a screenshot of you giving him a 5-star review, I'll buy you a drink next time I see you at Midway. And honestly, I'll probably buy you a drink anyway because I buy everyone drinks at Midway. But I'll make it my mission to buy you a few drinks at Midway.
Yeah, there you go. A little incentive
there we go.
For you
if you made it this far into the pod.
Yeah, but also I'll read off some funny comments if you guys drop them in the thing in the Apple Podcast comment section. So do that. Obviously, subscribe to the pod if you haven't. Check us out on all social media. Check out the podcast on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, TuneIn, Alexa, also Stitcher. Oh, I said Stitcher. Spotify as well. Check us out on Spotify. Yeah, maybe we'll end up on your year-end list. Shout out to Marina for putting me on your year-end list. And follow me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, all that stuff. You know, Spotify, blah, blah, blah. Facebook, I'm up on there. Can you believe it? 2020 is coming up on us close, people. So yeah, enjoy the rest of your time. I'll see you guys sometime before Christmas. I have a fun episode planned coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Be safe, guys.
Yeah, be safe, be smart, stay off the drugs.
Well, not all the drugs.
Yeah, stay off all of the harmful drugs. And
smoke some weed with your parents. It's great.
Yeah, do what you got to do. And, we'll see you on the next one. Rate, comment, subscribe. One friend challenge. Tell one friend. Hey, what's a good podcast to listen to? This one. All right. Thanks, everybody, and we will see you soon. I got a great episode coming, so be ready. Peace.